is happening, everybody? My name is Beth and welcome back to Every Day is Spooktober. Now in today's video we are talking about the film that recently came out called COBWEB. Now for those of you who haven't seen it, there will be spoilers as all my videos are, so click off, watch the film and come back and we can share our opinions of this movie. But yeah, obviously quick recap. In the trailer it didn't give a ton of information away, that it seemed a little bit of a situation where like the parents are evil and the kid is really scared and he doesn't know what is wrong with his parents. The way that I took the trailer before I watched the movie anyway, that it was going to be a bit of like, my parents are like trying to eat me or like are crazy, and you know, we've seen kind of movies with those sort of similar plot lines, and I thought, you know what, this is fun. The trailer, like I said, the trailer looks fairly interesting. It doesn't give too much away. It has a very fun Spooktober tone to it, and obviously our like main character is Lizzie Kaplan, obviously our like Mean Girl star. So I was like quite interested and intrigued to watch this. You know, the title doesn't really resonate with what you were seeing in the trailer. So I was really confused as to where we were getting cobweb spider kind of vibe from, but it 100% was intriguing in my opinion. I definitely like was excited for this one. So when I went and watched it, first off, the thing that shocked me was how short this movie was. It's like 1 hour and 20. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good short film. I do not like the long ones, so I was pretty happy with the length. But it did start to concern me because I thought, if this is short, are we going to be missing a lot of information, a lot of key things that audiences would want to know? And the answer to the question is yes, there was a lot of stuff that needed to be in there and it wasn't, and it was due to the length of the movie. They obviously had to speed a lot of things up, especially at the beginning, in order to kind of roll on, get to the sort of middle, the third act, and then obviously the conclusion at the end of the movie. So it was very sped up, and everything was happening so quickly, and it felt a bit odd. Now the director of this movie, Samuel Bowden, I've never heard of him before. I've looked on his IMDb at some of his work. I haven't seen anything he's made. He's made a couple films, but like not really down the alley of like horror. So don't get me wrong, I think everyone should kind of give horror a go, because I think there's definitely people out there that are great at making horror films. James Wan, obviously, and like plenty of other people, but you know, I don't think this was his kind of genre for filmmaking. I think maybe stick to what other genres, because yeah, I didn't particularly like this film. It wasn't very good. It was very rushed. It was quite cheesy. Like I was saying before, the whole thing with this film being so like short, and so it was quite rushed. There were so many plot holes, and my biggest issue with films, once again, if you have watched my previous videos, when there's plot holes, it just makes it so like draining to watch a movie, because you just on a downward spiral of overthinking of why this happened and why didn't we get this answer, and questioning everything. In my opinion, we could do with less plot holes in movies so that we can really understand and connect with the story. This story was just, it didn't make any sense. So many unanswered questions that, I mean, you can only kind of speculate, and it's not even like, oh yeah, you can put 2 and 2 together and figure it out. There just wasn't enough context to the story to understand, first off, why these parents are psycho, and why did they kill this girl on Halloween and then bury her in their pumpkin patch. Why? No reason why that is. Why is the sister who lives in the walls, why is she there, and did she come out at birth looking like that? What did she look like before? Was the parents actually normal, and then the daughter was just absolutely psycho and it made them crazy? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that don't quite add up and don't make any sense. My other question is, the parents died so quickly. If it was so easy to kill the parents, like, what was the point? What was the actual point of showcasing and setting up this whole thing of like, we need to kill mum and dad, they're evil? Give us some more backstory as to why they're evil, as to why they are like they are the way they are. Like we needed a bit more of everything in this movie. Don't get me wrong, I think the little kid who played Peter, I think he was a good actor, but in my opinion, I don't think he had a solid enough performance to be the main character who we were following around. I felt his performance to be very just sort of slow and not very three-dimensional, if you know what I mean. Some of the performances were lacking, and I think it let down the film as a whole as well. I also think that the ending was just very like cheesy and cliche and just silly. You know, I think the fact that we end off with Peter getting away, which is like great, and then we have a sort of monologue from the sister who's still stuck in the house being like, yeah, you'll always be a part of me, or like, I guess kind of insinuating that like you'll always sort of you'll eventually will turn into this evil or turn out like me in some way when you get older, which I don't quite understand that either. Like, what is the connection between the two just because they're from the same bloodline? Just there wasn't enough going on to be interested and engaged. Quite frankly, I think the first sort of 30 minutes to an hour were okay, and then it just went massively downhill from there. Like I said, I didn't think it brought a lot to the table. This felt like a kid's horror movie, if anything. It didn't feel like a serious or genuinely terrifying or horrible film, like disgusting film to watch. Like, you have all these classics. It didn't feel like that at all. It felt like you 13, 14-year-olds would go and watch it and like get a bit of a scare out of it. Jump scares were pathetic, in my opinion. So sorry, but they didn't bring anything to the table again. They were done in a very strange way. They were done in a way where it felt like they were trying to be a bit quirky and different with their jump scares, but it actually didn't pay off. When you focus on a point and you keep focusing on that point for a good minute or two, you start to lose the viewer and it's not scary anymore. You need something quick and snappy. And don't get me wrong, I know there's, throughout all these movies, there's those shots where it's a slow zoom in and it takes a really long time and then something happens, but it's unexpected. With this film, it would like focus on a point, nothing would either happen or something would happen and you knew it was coming because you were on it for so long. So it just felt like someone was making a horror film who knew nothing about horror and then try to put it into a film, which is really unfortunate because I think like the two parents in this, you know, they're good actors, they're solid actors, and I was really disappointed that they were in a film that wasn't obviously showcasing their talent. I think they could have had way better performances in this, but then again, I know that with sort of the writing and the directing and the scenario situation and the characters they're playing, they have to obviously adapt to that. So I'm not saying there's anyone to blame. I just don't think this director was ready or the writers were ready to make horror yet, because it wasn't what we needed. It has no relevance to horror in 2023, and it just was, it's one of those films that I wouldn't watch again. So the only positive thing I have, right, there was a few cool shots, don't get me wrong. There's a few cool like silhouette shots and things like that. I loved the environment because it was set like a week before Halloween. It was on Halloween, so we had like pumpkin patches and fall, and I loved the environment it set. Just everything else didn't go well with it. So if they kept that environment and had a completely different story, I may have liked it a bit more. But it was a shame because at the beginning when I was seeing all the fall like seasons and everything going on, I thought this could be a really good watch for Halloween and like my countdown to Halloween, but no, it just disappointed. So yeah, like I said, I will not be revisiting this movie. Unfortunately, it was a big miss from me. I rated this one a 4 out of 10. Like I said, with everything else in mind, yes, lots of negatives. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen in the world. There was some interesting points, but like I said, it felt like someone was trying very hard to make a horror film and it just didn't turn out to be great. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe. We have The Nun 2 coming out this week as I'm filming this, so look out for that review coming over the next week or so. And also I will be doing a very fun Halloween themed video coming up for Spooktober, so stay tuned for those. and I will see you on my next video.